Crossing opportunity, Mwepu pulls it back, Trossard curls it into the corner, exquisite from Trossard. We'll have to wait and see if there's a flag on Mwepu. He's smartly done, Caicedo chips it back, Mwepu! Oh, it's nestled into the corner, what a finish from Mwepu! Exquisite! Shot deflected and in! Out of nothing!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. So before we start on what we usually do, which is any one of Arun or Bob interrupting me, I just want to we just heard the news about Pele a bit. So just want to start this podcast with, mentioning him. Obviously we all know how good he is. He is the greatest player of all time. But just to mention, we are all saddened as football fans about Pele, about the whole thing, rest in peace is what we would be able to say about that situation. There's nothing more we could say. He has been struggling for his life for quite some time, and right now I feel like it's time one of the legends, went in peace. But we'll talk a little bit about Pele, but before I want to introduce the group today. I'll start with Bob.
Hey, Red.
Bob's back with us, and Arun's actually back with us, but he just went out of camera a little bit. So Arun's still here, and we've got Joe back with us. Hi, Joe.
Hiya, how are you?
All
good. Really devastated about the news of Pele, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll share a couple of thoughts on him now, if you don't mind.
Definitely.
If you say the word football, the definition is Pele, right?
Yep.
He's not a player that I was blessed to watch in my lifetime, but I've heard so many stories about him from my dad, my granddad, generations that have been and gone. So, an icon to the sport, and will be remembered forever as the greatest of all time. We talk about Messi, we talk about Ronaldo, but we have to mention Pele as, he's on a completely different level to whatever they achieved. How many World Cups? 2 World Cups? 3 World Cups?
3 World Cups.
I
was going about to add that, because for people to, for all the players to dream of winning the World Cup is the biggest thing. And having won the 3 times, and especially having won your first one at 17 is on an insane different level. Sorry, Joe, I took your moment off.
No, it's fine. But yeah, what a guy, and as you said, VJ, he's going and he's resting now, and he's out of pain, which is the main thing, and he can be up there with the other greats that we've lost, and he'll be playing the best football match we've ever seen. I have no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Bob, to talk about Pele, right? A little bit before we move on to other things. But the one thing that I always feel about, obviously, we haven't seen him play too, but the one thing that I always feel is that name, even before I started actually following football, the name was so famous. The name made football famous. Even in Indian countries, like a country like India, where we are a very, very, very new country, even in that sense.
World, yes.
In the footballing world, in any sense, but even then, we always knew. My dad, who doesn't follow football, knows Pele.
Yeah, I think everyone in the world knows Pele. That's how a testament of what he has done to the game. They never knew where he played, what he played, how he played, but they just know his name. That's as much. In a world where there was no social media, in a world where everything was just through paper press and everything, and then radio news and everything. Still, with that, everyone knew him. Everyone knew the sort of player that he was. That's the real testament of what a sort of a player that he was. We have to just rue our luck that we couldn't get to watch him in some capacity somewhere, but then everybody in unison agree that he is the best ever. No one could even come closer. Totally.
And even in football world, Arun, the players the players look up to him in such a way that like there's obviously like you could ask any player in the world and they would say like Pele as one of their favorite footballers of all time. There might be like, other names that comes and goes between players, but one name that remain constant is always him.
Yeah, I was, it's interesting. I was just watching a tribute video sometime back, and it was just a compilation of all the tricks and flicks that we see players doing, like the Ronaldo of now, R9, be it Cruyff as well. All that had already been done by Pele. The Cruyff turn was like version of the Cruyff turn was done by Pele. Like Ronaldo's tricks, all that he did, all that had been done by Pele already. Like you mentioned, whether people knew about football or not, everyone knew about Black Pearl.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest testament of his longevity, his quality, and his popularity. At a time when the game was not as popular as what it is right now, without any advent of social media, he made football known to the entire world. The US, for example, football has never been a big sport until like the advent of MLS. Even only recently that people are actually like catching up onto the sport. He went and played at New York Cosmos and made the sport popular there. So from the East Coast to the West Coast, wherever you take in the world, he's been one who's made a lot of, and he didn't start with just playing. He became an ambassador. Like he did everything to promote the sport. We need like genuine people like that who do not have any vested interest apart from like just promoting this. So legend of the game, no doubts about it. Like, and I am glad that he played at the time. I mean, like you were saying that we are unlucky probably to not have watched him, like during our times. But I'm really glad that he didn't play during this time of social media and armchair analysts. Everyone would have had like something to say about it, not appreciate the genius of the man. Even now, people discount like all of his goals and everything, saying like all those were scored against this team, that team, useless teams. The man scored over 1,000 goals. There's no one else who has done that, So great man, great legend, and I don't think there's ever been one black mark against him. Like you talk about Maradona,
exactly.
You talk about drugs, Latini, about the corruption.
Ronaldinho,
there's nothing, not one black mark against him. So it's great man, great human being, great football.
Yeah, that's our small tribute or like memory towards Pele. But yeah, we have to get back to our nitty-gritty of PL football right now. So before that, I would ask all the viewers to, as usual, like, share, subscribe. And if you haven't followed Joe's Albion Obsessed yet, you are missing out. Please follow them. We've been talking to each other. He's one of our earliest collaborators, and it's amazing to always talk to him. And so yeah, their channel's amazing. So you gotta follow him again. But
stop it.
I'll share the.
It's okay. Go on.
No, it's
getting too big here.
we have to say the truth, no matter what it is. But to start the discussion, right, Joe? Like this season has been an interesting one for me to watch from Brighton's perspective. Like as an Arsenal fan, to look at Brighton, because you lost your manager, and then but still you guys are playing amazing football. You guys are still like thereabouts, like 6th place, 7th place. So you've been bobbing into that top 6 this season. We've been talking. There has been a lot of focus on Arsenal being like, outperforming what the expectation was. In a sense, Brighton are doing that too, right?
I think that is always going to be the conversation, even if Brighton are performing above relegation zone level. We're always looked at as a club as underdogs. We're always looked at as that they shouldn't be doing this well. What's going on? Little old Brighton are challenging the big 6. They could get Europe. Oh my god! And it sort of like sends football into a frenzy, almost as if we're never allowed to achieve that. And as a Brighton fan, it's quite funny to watch that because I love the fact that we are ruffling the feathers of the corporation that is the Premier League, the big money boys, and it's proving that football is still alive. Like when Leicester won the league, proving that football is still alive. That what Newcastle are doing, I know they've got the money, but it's another club that is coming up there and challenging. You know, we don't want to see Manchester City winning the league all the time. We don't want to see Liverpool winning silverware all the time. And so it's nice that hopefully there's going to be a shift. How long that can continue for, I don't know, because it all depends on, do we keep the players that are doing so well for us? You know, we've seen Ben White move on to you guys. We've seen Cucurella move on. We've now got talks of Moises Caicedo leaving, Alexis MacAllister leaving, Leandro Trossard. But the thing Brighton do so well is we replace.
Yeah.
And we move on from, not one player is bigger than our football club. Not one manager is bigger than our football club. It was a really weird situation when Graham Potter left. I never really anticipated the day to come. Maybe that was naive of me based on how well we were doing. But I believed he was a nicer man than what he's turned out to be. And he's gone and sold himself to the Chelsea FC Cowboys or whatever they are now. So,
but that was coming sometime, isn't it? You know, I mean,
yeah, that was probably quite naive of me to think that, okay, I maybe thought he would do another 2 seasons, maybe. And then if the England job came up, I was really, you know, gunning for him to get the England job. And if he got the England job, there probably wouldn't be as many bitter feelings as there are now. The timing of when he left stunk, absolutely stunk. And what he was saying before as well, like a couple of weeks prior to leaving, loyalty in football, money in football, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as he gets an offer land on his table, he's gone. The first opportunity, he's gone. And you've seen the pressure he's under. I think an article came out about him and said if they don't get top 4, he's sacked at the end of the season. And that's a massive task. That's a huge task for this season. You've got you guys performing unbelievably well. You've got Manchester City. You've got Tottenham. You've got Newcastle. You've got Manchester United, Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see a world in which Chelsea get top 4 this season, which means he's gone. And where does that leave him as a manager? And it's, you know, we can say it. Oh, it's funny to see he's left us and now he's under this pressure. But as a human being, you sort of think, oh, Graham, you've made such an awful mistake, because he had us going so well. He had such a well-drilled team, and Roberto De Zerbi, he's lucked out. He's got such a fantastic football club at his disposal, and he's picked up a football club at the time we were 4th in the Premier League, and he's just picked us up and ran with us, and we're playing, I would argue, better football than what we were playing under Graham Potter. You know, gone are the English niceties of Graham Potter. In is the Italian passion of Roberto De Zerbi, and that's just turned us into a completely different beast. I say that we're going to lose 5-0 this weekend, but honestly, the football we're playing at the moment is really, like, it really impressive. And I'm so excited to see where De Zerbi can take us if we keep hold of these stalwart players like Caicedo and MacAllister.
But that's where the question comes in, right? Like, especially about MacAllister. He has had a stunning World Cup, right? He's one of the stars of this Argentina team. He actually had a stunning World Cup. And now that's where the whole talks of, yeah, we need this, we need, like, you know, a lot of teams are getting linked to him and stuff like that. But that's where the question is, like, especially now that the January transfer window is coming up and you're seeing a lot of teams are trying, like, it's not like last season or the seasons before. This is a weird season with World Cup in the middle. So a January transfer window is right now like a, you know, literally like a start of the season transfer window. That's how a lot of teams are seeing it because of all the World Cup and stuff. Do you see him staying there, MacAllister?
That's such a hard question, because, you know, I can talk from my heart and say, yeah, he's going to stay. He's going to, you know, be with us till the end of the season and get us into Europe. But, you know, from the World Cup that he had, the season he was having before he went to the World Cup, people talk about him like he was found and discovered at the World Cup. He wasn't. This is a player that has been performing at an unbelievable level for Brighton & Hove Albion for 2 seasons. And we all knew what MacAllister was capable of, and to see him not start in Argentina's first game and they lost, and then he starts the next one and he starts every single game after and they win. That goes to prove to you how good that boy is. And he can go right to, without trying to sound like Harry Redknapp here, he could go right to the very top of football. He's already there. He's won the World Cup. How much higher can you go? I know you talk about club competitions and everything like that, but he's won the World Cup.
But he's 24.
He could retire now if he wanted to.
Can I add my 2 cents here?
Definitely.
Many of them in the world were shocked and finally realized that he's Argentinian. There's still a lot of things going around that he's Scottish and he's definitely won. And to find him in an Argentinian T-shirt jersey there was quite a bit of a shocker for people who are not like watching football day in day out sort of a thing.
Yeah.
So they still were actually. I kept getting a lot of questions asked whether he's got any Scottish traditions and all those sort of things. Just that his name is MacAllister. That's it.
Yeah. So from how I understand it, his dad is from Scottish heritage. His dad was born in Argentina, and his dad played for Argentina as well alongside Maradona. So I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he's definitely Argentinian. So all the Scots trying to claim him, you're not having him. He is fully Argentinian.
Not definitely, no.
I mean, Scotland can't even get to the World Cup, let alone win one. So, sorry, any Scottish viewers out there, but the truth hurts. But yeah, what an unbelievable achievement for Brighton of Albion to have a World Cup winner in our squad. And we were so proud of Ben White when he got the England call up in the Euros before he moved to you guys. And I think if MacAllister does move on, he'll move on with the same respect that Ben White left with. A player that is put our football club, our tiny little football club that almost went out of existence 25 years ago, on the world map. We can now proudly say we've had a World Cup winner in our football club and our ranks, and he'll move on with a great respect. And he deserves his chance at glory in the Champions League or at the top of the Premier League or La Liga or wherever he goes. He absolutely deserves it, and I don't think I can be bitter and twisted about this one, because he's just a guy that's given us so much and spoken so well about the football club. Even after the World Cup, he was apparently in the WhatsApp messages, messaging all the players, saying how proud he is to come home to Brighton and show his medal to everyone. And I hope we get that moment as Brighton fans, to him to come back to the stadium to show us the medal. To be honest, he can come and show us the medal, and then he can leave to wherever he wants to go. I just want to see that medal.
So Joe, I have a question for you. So over the last couple of seasons, as an Arsenal fan, Brighton have sort of been a mini nemesis. We have never managed to do well against you guys, and we kind of love the brand of football that you guys played in Brighton. And like you said, it's only gotten better under Zerbi. This in spite of, like you said, losing talent like Ben White, Kukureya. You made a lot of money, but then the talents that you had that made the team click are gone. And you are in danger of losing the likes of Caicedo, MacAllister, or even Trossard at this point. So, first one, how does your scouting system work? And as an extension of it, one thing that we've seen in the last few years is there are certain teams that try to challenge and try to come into the top 6, top 7. They do well for one season, and right after that, they just fall off the chart. We can think about the likes of Wolves, who were doing really well a few years ago. They were right there. West Ham, now we find them 17th spot. As a fan or amongst you guys, do you guys have this feeling that, even if we do get to the next level, playing in some form of Europe, when we do lose our players, we are going to fall off the tracks? Or is your scouting system strong enough that you have the confidence that that's not going to happen? Our guys would get the best people as they've done before, and we can go on.
Yeah, I think we're quite lucky in the fact that we're quite a progressive club and we're always wanting to move forwards. We've got a really good owner. We've got a really good board. That, not a lot of clubs are blessed to say that they've got our fans have got a really good relationship with the owner and the board. So we've got full trust in them that they're taking us in the right direction, and to stay going in that direction as well. Last season we finished 9th. This season, hopefully, we're going to be pushing 8th or 7th or 8th, which would be an absolute dream. We hope we stay there, and we're making all the right steps. Yeah, players can come and go, but our scouting network is fantastic. When we first got promoted to the Premier League, we had 3 scouts in our football club. Now we've got over 250 worldwide. So that proves to you that our football club want to move in the right direction, and we're doing things that other even big clubs are jealous of. You know, you've seen how much Chelsea have come into our football club and raided us for the best people possible. The best people possible are our chairman and our our CEO and our backroom staff. They're the best people. You can take the manager, but you'll never take the infrastructure of our football club away from us. And we just recruit the right people. Whether that continues to happen, football's such a if buts and maybes. But the way it's going, I fully trust us to carry on the way we're going and even challenge for Europa League in the next 5 years. I really don't see why not. Yeah, you worry when you see like West Ham fall away, Wolves fall away. But I really believe that's because they've not got the right infrastructure.
Sorry to cut you off, but is that the goal that you guys are working towards, like to get into Europa League, to get into that position in the next 5 years? Like, do you guys have this, like every club has this kind of like, oh, we are going for the glory, but every club also has a plan about it. Like, those are the clubs. Every club that has a plan are the ones that move forward. Like, next 5 years we are going to reach this spot. Next 3 years we are going to reach this spot.
Yeah, when we got promoted to the Premier League, it was our owner's goal to make us a top 10 Premier League side within 5 seasons. And last season we finished 9th. So we were well on track to do that. And that was our 5th, I believe, our 5th season in the Premier League. So we're well on our way. I don't know what our chairman's next plan is. But whether that be qualify for Europe and see how we do there. The thing with Europe is you worry about squad depth. And I worry about our squad depth. The fact that Caicedo's got a suspension this weekend. MacAllister's still out in Argentina on the booze. So we're a little bit like, we've got to play Billy Gilmore against Granit Xhaka. So we'll see. But I've got full faith that the players that are in our ranks at the moment and are available can step up, and that's what we've always got. Is we've always got somebody ready to step in and do a job as good as, if not better than, the last person.
Awesome. Now that Joe has actually brought us to the exact point where I was trying to get us to, which is talking about the game, I'll start with you, Bob, about like Arsenal side of things. This game is actually the start of our the difficult, the 4 big hurdles that I would say for the January, right? Like, it starts off with this game, and we have been flying.
You're putting us down as a big hurdle. I feel honored.
Oh, you guys are, like I said, you guys are a nemesis. Like, back, you guys beat us at home, away. You draw us, like, you frustrate us more than anything, and all that playing like good quality football, not like parking the bus. So I would definitely put you there.
Who was the last team to beat Arsenal at their home, at Emirates?
Brighton.
There you go. There's enough reasons to be worried about.
So Bob. So to start off, like, Brighton. Then we have Newcastle, Manchester United, and Spurs, I guess. Right. So those 4 are our stumbling blocks in the last season too. Like, we could have finished, if we had a decent result in any of those 4 games, we could have finished top 4. We were just 1 point away from finishing in top 4. So how do you see this, this start? How do you see, like, we are flying high, but how do you see from an Arsenal perspective?
Okay.
take this.
At the time that Roberto joined Brighton, I sent a tweet out to Joe that he's definitely a manager to be looked out for, because I've watched a lot of Italian football in the past, and especially Sassuolo, having followed them closely. One of the things that the Zerbi is actually renowned for doing is developing young talents, and then promoting a sort of culture. So in that way, they've got one better of what Potter was actually doing, or taking them up to the next level. So in that Sassuolo team, that I remember, 3 players blossomed out so well that they all quickly got snapped out by other teams: Kamaka, Raspadori, and Locatelli. They were the fulcrum of that Sassuolo team, which took them almost to Europe. So taking comparisons to that, Brighton are just getting better in terms of what they were doing from before. Yeah, they've quickly moved on. It was a smart bit of a appointment in getting him, and he's just taking them even better to what they were. And to put that into perspective, they have not really stepped or lifted their leg off the pedal. It's just been going on. It's just getting better. If you look at what the plaudits say about Brighton, they say it's Arsenal's bogey team, because they've conceded the least number of goals. They're actually they've not lost. I think you've just lost once or twice at home, I can't quite remember the stat there. But
we lost at the Emirates in our first season in the Premier League.
No. I'm talking about your home form. Yeah. So it's just right there up the top, and we can't just. I mean, we have a massive advantage in the fact that Caicedo is sort of suspended and MacAllister is not playing, which is definitely a boost there. But still, I vary every player in that Brighton team, because it's just not individuals who actually get on to get a result against any team there. If you look at those performances, Lallana stepped up against Southampton. So I mean, I look at the Brighton team and the 11 that the manager puts, and every one of them is sort of a threat. Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's where Arun, I'll start with the starting 11, because Arsenal starting 11 is fairly easy to put together. But do you see any other change coming in from the last game that we played?
No, not really. I don't see any reason to have any changes. Yeah. KD was a bit tuckered out, but I don't see why he shouldn't be starting this game either. And I don't think Zinchenko is ready to play the 90 minutes or 60 minutes just yet. So I see us repeating the same starting 11 as last time. One because we do not have anyone else to start with, and 2 because the team that played the last game didn't put wrong. Even if you take out that penalty, the rest of the game was we pretty much had a lot of control. So yeah, I think it's going to be the same starting level.
But it's also it's kind of, at least for me, it's Arteta kind of trusts Zinchenko away from home rather than KT. Is my idea, my way of looking at things. Do you?
No, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. But I don't feel he would start just for the reason that I don't think he's ready to play the minute. But we weren't expecting Saliba to start last game, and he was there. We were all expecting.
I did mention that in the pod. Vijay just didn't listen. I told him Saliba.
I never listen, Bob. That's the whole point.
So yeah, that's where I feel KD would start, and probably depending on how the game goes, might get subbed off in 45 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever.
Joe, you were mentioning about the injuries and suspension and stuff. So what would be your predicted starting lineup?
So we go Sanchez in goal, back 4 probably of Veltman right back, centre back pair in Lewis Dunk and Levi Colwill. I don't think Webster's back yet, which is a big loss to us. He's obviously massive with Lewis Dunk at the back. Left back would be Estupinian. I think he's been fantastic since he's come in, and was unbelievable at the World Cup as well. Midfield, that's where we're struggling. To be honest, obviously with Caicedo out, MacAllister not back yet. So I think it'll be Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmore, with Adam Lallana sort of more advanced. And then up front, I would like to see Evan Ferguson, our 19-year-old striker. Welbeck's not fit, and Ferguson has looked really sharp. So would be nice to see him start with Solly March, who's been absolutely phenomenal this season. You talk about Zerbi getting the best out of players. He absolutely adores Solly March, and he's 100% getting more out of him than what Graham Potter could. And of course, Leandro Trossard, who people are sniffing around at the moment, seems to only turn up against the big teams. So I'm sorry about that. So it would be really interesting, because it's definitely a squad where, you know, we're missing a few players that really make us tick. But it will be super interesting to see how the others fare, because what I've seen of like Gilmore, of Ferguson, is that they're really up for it. They're really hungry. De Zerbi gets the best out of them, and they seem to know what De Zerbi wants from them as well. So I'm glad that our team strikes fear into Arsenal fans. It is quite funny to see. I'll mention one name who's not with us anymore, who I'm sure you're glad about, Neil Maupay. So you won't be seeing him. Don't worry.
It all started there.
Yeah, you did see the memes, right?
Messi winning the World Cup started with Neil Maupay.
Neil Maupay, yes, totally. That was actually the picture which Arsenal fans were actually circulating around on social media when soon after the World Cup. Yes.
Yeah, and Neil Maupay's French as well. Would you believe the irony?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So predicted lineups aside, like I would ask this question to Arun first. The key battles in the pitch, right? Like, since it's going to be, we always talk about Brighton playing expressive football and stuff, but the midfield is my point of concern always, because it's 2 versus 1. Like, because we don't play the double pivot anymore. It's Partey at the base of the midfield with, the other 2 midfielders atop. So, but Brighton plays the double pivot. Do you think that's where the battle would be interesting on the pitch, Arun?
I would have been a little worried had Caicedo, had we known that Caicedo and MacAllister are playing for sure. But now that they are not playing, that changes the dynamic totally. Like, that again leaves Partey with dealing with a couple of midfielders who are not at the same level as Caicedo and MacAllister. I think Joe can agree to that. And another fact is that the way in which we play, we always have an additional midfielder who supports Partey, though he's not playing as a midfielder, and we do tuck in our fullback as a midfielder in. So given that, and given the I wouldn't say lack of quality, I would say the equivalent players not being there, I think we hold an advantage. My bigger concern is, I don't know if I think Joe mentioned that Welbeck is not playing. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, Welbeck is still injured, I believe. I don't think, even if he is back, I don't think he'd start.
That would have been a concern for me, because he's managed to score against us all the time in the last few games that we played. So Welbeck against our defense would be a concern. Just Welbeck is not like a world-beating striker who's going to take on defenders and all that, but he does a few things perfectly right that gets him into perfect goal-scoring position. The goals that he scored they don't look good, but he's effective. It doesn't. So that's what your team needs. So for me, that's one battle, and how we're going to be dealing with the trickery of Trossard is probably going to determine this game. I'm not worried about Lallana. I'm more worried about Trossard, and I think rightfully so. I just hope that this doesn't come back to bite me in the bum with Lallana scoring a goal or something. But that's what I think it is, and I think it's going to be like how we contain Trossard and how we deal with the crowd is what's going to help us with this game.
Joe, what would be your places that you think? I mean, the places that you think you can win this game, or the places that you think you can contain Arsenal?
I personally think you should be worried about Lallana. Honestly, in the form that he's been in, I think people sort of let him go under the radar a little bit and run the game. This is a guy that's won the Premier League or been in a Premier League winning squad. He's been in a Champions League winning squad. He's been coached by Jurgen Klopp. He's played with Luis Suarez, Steven Gerrard, some really big names. And people underestimate him just because of his age. His first move is always up here in his head. He's so intelligent, probably the most intelligent footballer I've ever seen play for Brighton Hove Albion. And he's a joy to watch, to be honest, if he can stay fit. We know that his injury record isn't great. The big meme at the moment on Brighton Twitter is we haven't got Caicedo, we haven't got MacAllister, so I guarantee we'll see Lallana limping off 10 minutes into the game on Saturday, hoping that doesn't happen, touching wood right now. But honestly, Lallana's form has been excellent. One guy I didn't mention in the starting lineup, who I should have mentioned, Karu Matoma. I think it would be a really interesting battle if Tomiyasu starts. I'm not sure whether he does start or he's closer to Tingo.
Ben White.
I would like to see that battle of Tomiyasu and Matoma, fellow countrymen, going at it on the.
But it's going to be it's going to be Mitoma versus Ben White, which would still be interesting.
Right, so, yeah, no, that definitely will be interesting considering Ben White's roots. But Ben White comes back to the Amex with our utmost respect, and he'll get a really good reception from most Brighton fans. I know there was a little bit of banter, I think, when we drew or you beat us, and he posted a black and white photo with like the coal emoji. A little bit sort of backstabbing to us, but I think it's just banter, and I think that's just what Ben White's like as a person. I find him a really interesting person, actually. I'm watching, obviously, the documentary on Amazon, and he doesn't strike me as a person that actually likes to play football. He's just there, and he's just good. It's a really weird concept, Ben White. But if he's got the quality, then let him crack on. Fair enough.
I don't care if he likes football or not, as long as
he will play.
He will play. I am ruling him with my iron fist. No, but as a fan, yeah, he's been amazing. I mean, we have all sang plaudits about him a lot recently, and he's amazing for us.
Sorry, I just want to add something as well. Reflecting back on, since the transfer, we obviously didn't. He didn't come cheap, so it was 50 million pounds. But still, reflecting back at it, it was some money well spent. I would say, because he's moved on. He's completely stepped up his game, even better than what he was actually at Brighton. He's a shy guy. He doesn't. I mean, he's interviewed himself in the past, mentioning that he doesn't watch football games the time that he's not playing, which is sort of weird, as he said, Joe. But still, that's how he is as a personality. He's not very outspoken sort of a person, but still he's brought that steadiness in the Arsenal defense, which has been shaky for a long time. That's one of the pieces of the puzzle.
He's had a proper footballing journey. He's had a lot of rejection in his past. He's had a lot of uncertainty whether he would break through into the Brighton team. Obviously, a few loan spells to like Newport, like League 2, League 1. He's been through it all, and I think that makes a really well-rounded player, and certainly a player that Arsenal have needed in defence. Everyone's spoken about it for so many years about Arsenal. Used to have such a great team, such a reliable defence, and it just crumbled in the last years of Wenger, in the first years of Arteta and under Emery and stuff. So it's good to see that he's got that role. And we sort of Brighton a little bit like the role of the proud dad with Ben White. We look at him and say, yeah, he's doing good, our boy. So I'm glad you're looking after him. And as I say, he'll get a warm reception on Saturday.
Awesome. So, well, I mean, I think there's not much more to discuss about the game in general. So we will go around to do our predictions a little bit. So I'll start off with Bob first. Bob.
Man, it's going to be a pretty difficult game, much more than what people think. Going to be. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a cakewalk. But then I still believe the quality and the current form of Arsenal would actually get them across the line. I might be. Joe is already nodding his head, but then I still think we'll go on to concede a goal. West Ham was actually a good test because we did look like we were going to score first, but then we conceded, and then we were sort of chasing up the game until halftime, and then we sort of imploded. So I'm just hoping moments of like that where we take our chances and then we being clinical in front of goal. We have to be absolutely be clinical because you're not going to be getting as much chances as what people expect. Brighton are a very tough team. So my score line would be 1-2 to the Gunners.
Okay. Any predictions on who the scorers are going to be?
I feel Solimarch or Trossard is likely going to be on the score for Brighton. For Arsenal, I think Martinelli and Odegaard. It's just Odegaard was not lucky that he couldn't lucky enough not get a goal against West Ham, but then I'm hoping that he does here.
Okay, now it's time for Joe to chime in. Joe, what is your prediction for the game? Like score line, how you are seeing the game develop?
Yeah, and so I celebrated when Bob said Solly March because on our podcast, I don't know if you watch it, but I am a massive Solly March advocate. I absolutely adore him. He's been with us for 11 years now. Come through our academy, local lad, and he's very much a Marmite player amongst Brighton fans. A lot of people really want him gone. I'm on the side that I think he should be one of the first names on the team sheet. He's been that good this season. And he got his absolutely amazing goal on Boxing Day against Southampton, which I think he was more shocked that goal went in, to be honest. He's not the best goal scorer. In terms of prediction, I think, let's be real, Arsenal are a different beast this season. I know we beat you in the Carabao Cup, but you had a sort of slightly weaker team out, and we had a weaker team out as well. But I don't think that matters in the grand scheme of things, especially in a Premier League game where you're fighting to stay at the top of the Premier League. Your players are going to be very up for it, and I'm very worried. For the first time facing Arsenal, I'm actually worried, and that's weird for me to say as a Brighton fan that. I've never been worried about Arsenal, even since we came into the league. At the time, you were a bit of a meme, and it was just funny to play Arsenal. Now we're like, okay, no, they're doing all right now. So you're probably going to humble us. I think it's a long time coming, probably, that Arsenal are going to get a result over us in the Premier League. It's going to be a really tough game. I can't predict us to lose. I'm sorry. I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And we'll go with Leandro Trossard to score our goal and Odegaard to score yours. I love watching Odegaard play. I think he's a fantastic player. And I'm so glad that he's in the Premier League. I was watching him, for like Real Madrid and previous clubs, and he's just a wonderful footballer, and I think he's going to be one of the world's best going forward. And if he can win a Premier League with Arsenal, then that will cement his place up there. So I actually really want you guys to win the league this year. I'm actually I'm praying, not praying for it because I'm not that emotionally invested, but I'm really hoping for it. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on an Arsenal podcast. I'm sick of seeing Man City win the Premier League. I'm sick of seeing Liverpool win trophies. I just want it to be something different. And I think you guys have hurt for far too long. And I think it's definitely. I know you've won FA Cups and stuff like that. But I think it's your time to lift that trophy. So maybe not for this weekend, not good luck for this week. But following on from that, please go on and have an amazing season and lift that trophy at the end.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Arun, let's wrap this up with your prediction.
Well, what I wanted to say was it was going to be a 1-1 draw or a 1-2 win for us, and both these guys mentioned both of those scorelines.
So
that
what?
was,
It's not a competition, or it's not like
I
when
am
you
not
pick
I'm
the
not
score line,
changing
you
anything.
cannot pick anything.
No, I'm
I
not
was going to
changing
say,
anything.
is
I
there
think
blood on the line?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not changing anything. I think it's gonna be Bob said, it's gonna be like a really close match. Like it's not going to be easy. Playing away at Brighton has always been difficult for us, and right now it's winter as well. Though our team is from London, Brighton is a totally different beast when you go and play there. And more importantly, I think like the crowd are going to be difficult to deal with. So I want to say a 1-1 draw, but like the optimistic Arsenal fan in me says 1-2 to us. Yeah, I think we'll win it by 2 goals to 1.
Okay, awesome. That's the wrap on today's episode. Thanks, Joe, again for joining in, and everyone listening. Please do go and subscribe on Joe's channel, Albion Obsessed. They have amazing content, and they are like so
Yeah, I
go
just
and
want to
support
say
them.
thank you to you guys as well. Just before we wrap up, like you say that we were one of your first collabs. You were one of our first collabs as well. So we've been on the journey together, guys, and it's good to see you still kicking around and doing this podcast game. It's good fun. Yeah, no, thanks for having me on again, guys, and hopefully we can do it for the return fixture. Have we played you away yet? Only in the cup.
Only the cup,
Yes.
yeah.
Maybe
Yes.
we'll talk again this season.
Totally,
Absolutely.
up for it.
Yeah. So thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone, for joining in, and for all the listeners still listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment in your predictions, your starting lineup, your thoughts, whatever, and reach out to us. On any discussion that you want to have. Bob would be our person handling our social media mostly, at least the Twitter side of things. So if you want to banter with him, go ahead and banter with him in our Twitter space.
Kill me.
I'll get my thumbs ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Talk to you
Cheers.
after the game. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.